Good afternoon and welcome to our events and commemoration meeting. Today is March 20th. It's 3:30 p.m. If we could have a roll call, please, Ms. Swain.
Mrs. Cooper?
Here.
Mr. Capel?
Here.
Mr.
Here.
3 present, uniform.
Okay. Would you like me to make a motion, Mr. Hussein? I'd like to make a motion to amend our agenda, please, to add a special event of a fishing derby, the Jackson Preston Fishing Memorial Derby, onto our agenda. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Capel?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. We'll add that later to our new business. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. First up, we have our approval of the minutes from our February 20th meeting, which I will make a motion to approve.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Capel.
Abstain.
If we can have a roll call, please.
Mrs. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Capel?
Yes.
Mr. 2 yeas, minutes passed.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to move on to unfinished business, and it's my understanding that from now on, for the foreseeable future, we're going to have a standing 4th of July sizzle in our unfinished business. Is that correct, Mr. Hennessy? And then if we have things to discuss, we will. So first up, though, is our meeting time change. Has staff had a chance to think about that and see what might work best for staff and our event coordinators?
Still work, just a later time.
Just a later time. Okay, Thursdays are still fine with me. How about, is there a specific time you're thinking?
Well, I would think that 5:30 is probably more ideal. 5 would probably be a little tight for participants.
Okay.
I don't know if it gets into be too late into the evening for the group. Or if you'd rather just kind of, jump past 5:30 because that's kind of a transition period in the day and go to 6 or something.
Sports that take place on Thursdays.
When do we need to know?
Well, we don't need to decide today. I think we just want to throw it out there then and see if moving this later in the day.
We'd still be talking about the third Thursday. So we're talking about one Thursday a month, the third Thursday.
Yeah, following a council meeting the night before, so Andy finding. So I recognize it's starting to get a little bit tight. The other option might be the Charter Review Commission is going to finish up its work here probably in a month and a half-ish.
The goal is hopefully by Memorial Day is the absolute latest that we're hoping to go with that. So those are Tuesdays, the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month at 5:30. So that has already been kind of earmarked for chambers and city staff as well.
Yeah, so that could be another option, maybe a Tuesday night.
After the commission is over.
Pardon?
After the commission is over.
Yeah, exactly. And that would be alternating weeks from when we have a council meeting too, if it's the second or the fourth. So, maybe that's another option to think about.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So how about, where are we at now? March? How about we keep it the same for April and we'll all consult our schedules? And you said hopefully by Memorial Day.
Yeah, talking with Ms. Princehorn, that's the route that we're going right now and the speed in which we're getting through everything. Hopefully Memorial Day, honestly, it could be earlier, just depending on the commission.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, we'll all go back and look at our schedules. You can talk to Vanessa and see how that works with your schedule because she'll be the one making the decision.
You're right about that.
Yeah, I hate to go too late I just feel like you guys work all day and then to have to come because some of these meetings are so short. But okay, we'll think about that.
Early. What time do you?
But we're trying to make it work for our event coordinators who are working during the day.
I see. What's their ideal schedules like?
Yeah, did we reach out to?
I know for a majority of them, Tuesdays and Thursdays work. I know the Civic, Tuesdays and Thursdays work. The marching, the Big Walnut Music and Marching, the only reason why he couldn't make it is he's out of town. And then the Lions and everybody, they can always send somebody. They have representatives that they can send. I've talked to them. They didn't really have But for the civic, it was Tuesdays and Thursdays where those are the days where two of them work from home, I think is what they said. So they were pretty more flexible, but later in the day was better.
Tuesdays later in the day or Thursdays later in the day. Either one, 5:36 is fine with me, Thursday or Tuesday. 5:36 should, is fine.
It's probably fine with me too for, I mean, the sports change with the seasons, right? So, but we're talking about one time a month. I mean, I can probably arrange. Worst case, Nancy can't come and has to pick my kids up. So, all right, well, I'll look at the future schedules because we are actually getting baseball and softball schedules out for rec. Should be this weekend, so I'll look into that. You can talk to your wife and look at your daycare schedules and school schedules and all that.
So April is still at 3:30.
I think let's continue April as is and then look to potentially change it in May or June after the charter if we need to. Okay. And well, I guess so you're an event coordinator as well, but less events now. So, okay. All right, we're gonna move on to the 4th of July and sizzle. Do we have anything that you want to bring to the committee today?
We do.
Okay.
Yeah, why don't you take that? Well, let me just give a little bit of background. We do have an item in the packet for you to see regarding the parade route, but just as just additional sort of background for this group. So we have established a standing meeting with a planning committee, a working group, whatever you want to call it, for both Sizzle and the 4th of July. In that meeting, representatives from Civic, the police, the city of Sunbury Police, the BST&G Fire, city staff, and then we have one representative, kind of a community resident who wanted to be involved. And so it's great to actually have a neat community representative in the room as well. So a pretty sizable group. I mean, I don't know, 12 to 15 people. And included in the city staff also includes Jake with the service department representative. So we've got the standing committee scheduled. We've had 2 meetings to talk about the 4th of July. We've been mostly focused at this point trying to talk through the route options for the parade, because that was one of the things that we had identified in our best practice that we wanted to look at that closely, particularly in light of the fact that parades and shutting down the number of streets is particularly time intensive for our police department. So is there a more efficient way to do the parade, but also kind of be responsive to the fact that we have limited resources for our police department.
And that's changed. My understanding is when we became a city, some of that responsibility on our police department changed with state routes.
Yeah, so which is a good segue to then. So the other thing that we had talked about in that best practices document is that we do need to secure a permit from the Ohio Department of Transportation to shut down the state route. And so we've at least taken the first steps in terms of identifying how that process will work and who's going to take the lead on that. But so with that said, let's at least look at the parade route and have a little bit more discussion about how we landed here. So you want to talk about the parade route?
Can you pull these up, Amber, or no? If you can't, it's okay. That's okay.
This is the same parade route you have seen. It's going to start at Big Walnut Middle School, or some people call it the old high school, but we're trying to pull away from calling it the high school. It's going to go down Columbus Street and then make that turn onto Cherry Street, go down Cherry, and then make that turn back onto 37 Granville. Go down, make its way, and then it will turn onto East and then Bauman, and then end back at the middle school.
So this is the existing route now. We talked about alternate routes. And again, I think the recommendation, at least this year, is to keep the existing route, and the police department are supportive of that. So a couple of things to keep in mind. We've been talking a lot about the State Route 37 widening project that will affect the portion of 37 along, on the eastern side, I guess, of the city. That clearly is part of the parade route. So at some point when that begins to be under construction, we'll have to alternate, or we'll have to adjust the route anyway. So we thought that this would be a good year to study a couple of things. One is, how does the parade disperse at the end? How many sort of floats and what have you go back onto the school grounds and sort of disassemble that way? Or are they kind of getting to the end of the route and there's some other strategy? Some vehicles go off and just keep driving down 37. Is it only the floats that are kind of working their way back to the school itself? What have you? So
Do they have 37 blocked though?
they do.
Yeah, so they're not going, look, they're not going down 37.
Well, they could go that way. So 37 is blocked in this direction.
They don't block it that way, they just move the parade onto East Street.
Yes, right.
Okay.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that when they block the semi trucks or the traffic that's coming through town, yeah, they are blocking 37. So
Coming in, but
coming
was
in.
blocked going out.
going out. That's
Okay.
exactly right. That's exactly right. The other thing I think we want to take a close look at is kind of, the length of the parade has been an issue. And some of that is just kind of the way the parade operates. Everybody who's in it try to stay together so that there aren't these gaps or what have you. But really trying to understand, like, how long does it take to get through or get up to the square? And basically, if you were to get past Cherry Street, what does that timing look like? And how much time would it cut off if the parade route went any different direction? It didn't continue on Cherry and down 37. So that, I think, will help maybe inform alternate routes going forward. If we choose a route that doesn't ultimately cross Cherry, wouldn't necessarily require an ODOT permit anyway. So again, timing, we'll check a little bit more closely this year on timing. And we're also going to, again, try to understand what happens at the back end of the parade as it ends.
I'm also curious about, because I know coming down 36, 37 on the east side, a lot of people come up along the road there. And
Mhm.
I'm just curious, if you do find an alternate route and those people move somewhere else, how crowded is the square going to get?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
what's the space end up looking like?
Yeah, and we definitely have talked to that. The fire department has raised that issue in a positive way. What they've said is that the square holds a lot of people, and so that's a good thing. But if you cut off, if we go in another direction and you don't come down the second side of the square, you've also kind of eliminated some of that standing room only area there as well. We don't restrict traffic on parking on Cherry, I should say. During the parade, we do restrict parking on Columbus, and that actually, I think, was beneficial last year. Not only did it kind of keep people out of the street a little bit, but it also improved visibility so kids weren't going in between vehicles there. So the reason to not restrict it on Cherry Street is really just trying to be responsive to the businesses that are operating on that side, and not is try to limit the negative impact on their business operations until the street shuts down. Then obviously it does impact them. So that we've made that recommendation. Like I said, we're pursuing the permit with the Ohio Department of Transportation, and we've got another meeting in 3 weeks, so we'll keep going on that. Then there also has begun some conversation about what, if anything, happens on the square during that day, but I don't think we're ready to make any kind of a recommendation yet about that. So hopefully at the next meeting, a little bit more we'll be able to say about that. Yeah, I don't know, questions, comments?
At the end of the parade, it is both, because sometimes people leave their cars and their trailers there
Mhm.
while they either walk in the parade or they show their car in the parade or their tractors. So they've got to get back to the high school to load up their items and.
Yeah, so unless I misunderstood what the Civic Association has told us, is that you're actually not supposed to be
Yeah, they
parking.
don't allow
there.
that.
Yeah,
You're only
So
allowed
there
to
might be-
drop off.
Yes.
Only floats are allowed down there.
yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, well.
So again, just I think trying to understand what is happening on the school grounds, is I think important for us to, as we think about what happens, going forward. But I'm sure people do it. I'm absolutely certain that
That's what
people do.
happened last year.
Yeah.
Because I've ended up going back to the high school.
Yep.
With my group.
Understood. But maybe, and this is a little bit unrelated, and maybe a little bit unfair to Nancy because she didn't hear this coming. But as we observe the Christmas parade, most of that parade disbands before it ever gets back to the original starting point. Even though we do cycle them back, a vast majority of them actually never kind of cycle back. So that's why I say it would be helpful for us to understand what's happening at the end of this parade
And,
route.
and you said you're gonna have someone that's responsible for that.
Yep.
Doesn't it kind of end at around Bell's, Sunbury Cleaners? That's kind of where it ends, right?
Well, but the parade actually is supposed to go back up to the library. So this is the Christmas parade that we're talking about here. But yeah, a lot is happening at that intersection.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the parade. You're absolutely right.
And I wonder if, we could maybe even utilize drone footage to help later. If Sunbury PD has drones out, or if Joey Thomas is working, we might be able to go after this. I mean, none of this needs synthesized that day, but later we can get information that way and see. And I think it's gonna be important for our residents to know that this is gonna be it's a transition year. This is the first year that the chamber hasn't done the activities on the square. So if we have activities on the square, it likely will look different. And then we've had talks about doing them other locations, so it might change in future years, but we're trying to do what's best for the biggest amount of people. We want it to be safe. We want everyone to have fun. So it might not look the same this year, and it might look even more different the next year, but Amber will keep everybody up to date when we know what's going on.
Thank you.
Anything regarding Sizzle yet?
No, I mean, they have lined up the musical acts. I don't know who they are. Somebody probably knows. Are they? Yeah, I was gonna say,
Do
okay.
you have a working group for Sizzle, or is this an events working group, or is it
So
4th of
this
July?
will be the same group. So we're gonna transition. In fact, we have it on the agenda. Like, as we
Okay.
kind of work through the 4th of July issues, we'll transition into the Sizzle issues, which, I mean, there could be some overlap, certainly, but the committee group overlaps for sure.
Okay.
And that's good because, I mean, usually what happens is with Sizzle, we haven't really started talking about it until after the 4th of July. And I think with this
It's
model,
too soon.
we can,
Yeah.
too late. In this
too late.
case, we'll be able to get it a little sooner.
So it's on your agenda, and it's a constant thought now, and then that'll be is this a monthly? Do you meet monthly?
We're meeting every 3 weeks.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, moving on to new business, we have Movies on the Square, the Big Walnut Civic Association, and Mrs. Ernst was at the Parks meeting. I don't know, was that this month, March? She was at the meeting in March at Parks to talk about the Easter egg hunt that had gone from this committee. She couldn't make it to Parks. She was there. While she was talking about the Easter egg hunt, she mentioned the Movies on the Square. We weren't sure at that time if it would warrant a permit, but it does look like that was decided to go ahead and do the permit.
It has been, Movies on the Square. Like normal, like every year, it'll start around 7 PM. The movies will start around dusk. This year, it'll be June 6th. The July one will take place July 11th because it falls on, July 4th this year. And then August 1st, they expect around 100 to 200 people. They really can't tell which one. They have asked for the next day, rain day, as well. This has gone through, emergency services and our services team. There has been no red flags given. Everybody's given the green flag. And I have no issues from city staff either.
When these are going on, is the town hall open for the restroom?
I haven't made it open.
I haven't made it open
So,
for them either.
Yeah.
So there's no restroom option for those?
They haven't, I don't think they've asked.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's possible.
It's possible.
Yeah, I feel like
Lot
I've
of
used the
keys out.
restroom here.
Hard to say.
Yeah, why don't we ask that question?
Yeah, I mean, we should have something of, you have taught, I mean, you have like potty training kids coming to these, so. Okay,
At cost though,
No, yeah, we don't charge for access to the building.
the supervision.
well, everyone's on the square at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's not city staff necessarily designated for this, but again, there's an event organizer, there's a, responsible organization, there's insurance coverage. I mean, all of those things remain in place. And if we find that, then there hasn't been an issue, but if there were to be an issue, I mean, we know how to address that, I guess.
But are they having these sponsored, each one sponsored by a different church or
Yeah.
community organization?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else from the committee? I think they said, what'd they say?
Moana 2,
to
Wicked, and one of the
a
Despicable
Despicable Me
Minion
one. Yeah.
movies.
I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
That is truly a family event.
Okay. Next, we have the Memorial Day Big Walnut Music Marching Boosters event. And like Amber said, we did reach out. I asked Amber if she would reach out and she did, and they weren't able to make it today, but this is not an event that hasn't happened before. We're just trying to make it best practices to invite our event organizers here so we can hear from them if there's any needs. Can you tell us a little bit about this one, Amber?
I will say Mr. Snodgrass did say if you have any questions or concerns, we can reach out to him. So if
Okay.
you do have any, I will email him if you need to. This is gonna take place on Memorial Day with the setup the night before between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. This will have a street closer. They'll close down Granville Street for the food trucks. We'll provide a dumpster for them. It is a free event, but they do take donations. All the donations go back into the music and marching band boosters. This has gone through fire, police, and staff and services. No red flags from them. Jake did just make sure to let them know to make sure all the trash bins were emptied. I guess we've had some issues with that, but we've discussed it. But other than that, they plan to have food trucks, portable toilets for people to use the restroom.
Is this a fundraiser for the music boosters?
All of the proceeds go back into the music boosters. And they are aware that all of the food trucks will have to pass the fire inspection.
Any committee comment? Okay, then we're going to go move to our special event that we added, the Jackson Preston Memorial Fishing Derby. This event also, I want to say 2 years we've done this event. Been a few years, yeah.
And if once you go up to the, yep, no, I know. Very
Go ahead and introduce yourself, give us your name and your address and tell us about your event, please.
Okay, I'm Vicki Belcher. I'm administrative assistant at Sunbury Christian Church. We're at 870 Admiral Drive. Did I get everything? Okay. And what we're proposing, and I guess this is the first time it's needed to be presented to your committee for the fishing derby. We've done it every year. Our men's serve team has done it for kids to come. It's like a 9 to 12 time frame. They have hot dogs and chips and all that good stuff. They give away prizes for the biggest fish and all kinds of things that way. With the passing of Jackson, we've done like blood drives because I know he had to use a lot of blood. So that's been involved with it. So we're looking at having, instead of having something at the church, at a different date, incorporating it with the fishing derby, as much as Jackson loved to fish. So kind of just coordinating it all together. And Lori, his mother, wasn't able to come today, but she's the one coordinating it and kind of taking it from the men's team. And trying to make it an annual event in honor of Jackson. The Angel Works that helped them a lot, which raises funds and helps them with kids that have cancer, will be there as well. And that's, if anybody wants to donate to that, that's an option. I know last year, if I remember correctly, they had donated fishing poles to the kids and things like that. So they did a lot of fun things for the kids, and we will we couldn't have the mobile unit, but we're looking at doing the blood drive in our other facility, which is at 250 Rainbow, because it is in that parking lot.
The old Sunbury Christian, as we say.
Which this used to be too, so way back when it first started. So, but yeah, we'll have it inside the gymnasium.
So you'll have a blood drive going on
That is
at the
what-
old Sunbury
Mhm.
Christian
Yeah,
inside,
I wanna
and
do
the
that at
blood.
the same time, and I have the Angel Works there. Have all the events for the kids for that time, have snacks, hot dogs, all that good stuff, so.
Do you plan to do it as the same setup as you do every year and have the entrance at the church gate as
Mhm.
well?
Right there.
So a majority of their event does take place on church property.
Mhm.
They're just utilizing the reservoir
Yeah.
for the fishing.
For the
derby.
fishing derby.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
The hot dogs, chips, water, cotton candy, all that is at the church
That
or
is all there in the parking lot.
in the parking lot?
Provided.
At the church's parking lot?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is this the same fishing derby that Terrence Heck used to help out with?
I haven't-
That's the Big Walnut Conservation Club.
Okay, thank you.
But the Preston family has done this for a few years.
They're involved with it this year. It's
Yeah.
officially.
Okay.
For him. I know we had it as like honoring him last year as well, and did the
Okay.
blood drive as a separate, and they want to incorporate it all together. And
Okay.
they've kind of taken it over from the men's serve team doing it as a men's function. They're gonna help with it, but I think the Prestons are taking that on as their thing through our
Yep.
church.
So is this the first time staff is seeing this? Yeah.
No.
No, this has been through fire services and police.
Oh, okay, great.
It
So
just-
it doesn't need to circle back
That's
to all.
my mistake. It didn't make it into the packet. But no, it's been circled through. We have no issues with it.
Okay.
Like I've said, a majority of this does take place on church property.
That's what it sounds like.
So they just want to utilize our reservoirs.
Yeah, we're happy to.
So, and just to kind of circle back on that. So last year, yeah, I think what Vicky's alluding to is that, we did a special, fishing derby late in the year. That's the one that the Preston family helped organize after we had the dock. After you had done the dedication for the dock. Yeah, and we were trying to time up the fishing and or the fish, and
Mhm.
you guys
Yeah.
were gracious
Do we
about
have
that.
fish?
But this year, that's my
We
point.
have
Yeah,
fish.
this year. fish.
Fish will be delivered on Friday.
Yeah.
The day
So
before,
the
yeah.
fish will be delivered on Friday. So that's why the event takes place the next day.
Okay,
So.
So more fish to catch this year.
and it's this is Saturday, right? May 3rd, Saturday.
Mhm.
Okay,
Terry.
no problems here. Damon,
No,
problems?
No problem.
Okay, no problems.
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Visitor section. Please come to the mic and introduce yourself. Name, address,
Social security number.
mother's maiden name.
Okay. Nancy Crawford, Big Walnut Chamber, 39 Granville. This question might be more for staff than the committee, sorry, but hearing and taking notes on all of these events, the chamber tends to get lots of phone calls, visitors asking about all of the events on the square. And we're officially down to one event. In the past, we've been happy to share the information. I did hear you say Snodgrass, and we have a note, so I'm like, okay, it is still the boosters. One, I don't want to have to send everybody to you. So as long as I have the information, I'm happy to share that with people. And two, I noticed you guys haven't put out an events calendar yet. I know in the past couple of years, we've kind of done that together. Okay. I just
So
thought I
that,
should.
yeah, I've seen that in my Facebook memories, but I feel like the Civic Association has put that out much earlier in the year.
I was
Uh,
getting out the chambers myself, so I get it. I wasn't sure if you were moving away from it or it was something that would still happen. And if there are physical copies, we'll put it up in our window like we always do. And
Yeah, no, that's good. That's something that you're working on with Civic and Chamber and all
I was
these.
waiting on some dates, but yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, gosh, we're already
yeah.
March.
Yeah.
Not much has happened yet, so. Okay, yeah, good note. Anything else from staff? Committee? I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second by Mr. Ayer. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Ayer,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
3 yeas, we are adjourned.